lose our spot.
Interesting.
All right, we are live, I think, maybe. Hello.
Hello.
So, hello, everyone. So we have amazing people on the call here. I hope we're live. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this is working. It was working pretty well last time, so we're just going to get started. So before we go into the introductions and all that stuff, I just want to say, thank you for every single one of you that accepted to do this. I think it's going to be amazing. Like the first one, it was tremendous value for the victim, quote unquote, which was Andrew last time, and it's Mark today. So Mark, get ready to put aside your ego and to suffer in silence. And then, hopefully we're going to give you a ton of value, and people watching this will get some value from it as well. So let's just go into the introductions here. So welcome to the live panel number 2. This is broadcast on 2 groups, on Ecom Convert as well as Robert's amazing CRO Junkies group, which is much bigger than my group. Very sad about that, but good job, Robert. And then, so you're gonna have a chance to comment, ask questions. Just comment in below the video, and I'm gonna see the comments here. I can bring them on the screen. So if you have anything to add that's valuable, that's interesting, just go ahead and do that. If you want your face to appear, there should be instructions below the video as to how to do that, but you need to go on Facebook and give access to StreamYard for your face to appear. So that said, let's go into the introduction. So in alphabetical order, let's start with AJ. So 30 seconds per person, please. Let's keep it super short, and let's go.
Hey, everybody. I'm AJ. I'm the founder of Experiment Zone, a board member of Mobile First, and I host a podcast called Startup Insights. Super excited to be here today.
Awesome. Let's move on to Connor. Oh, let me unmute you. Sorry, I'm trying to. Are you going to have to unmute yourself? There we go.
Perfect. Cool. So I'm Connor Burke. I am the UX lead and optimization manager with Mobile First. I've been working with conversion funnel optimization for several years now, and worked with a variety of different businesses that have market caps ranging from $1 million to $2 billion. So excited to be here as well.
Very cool. Then we have Lori. Oh, you're muted, Lori.
You muted me early too. I would think you'll do that sooner or later anyway. I own an e-commerce focused development and online marketing agency in Austin, Texas. I've been doing e-commerce originally as an employee, and then 5 years ago as an agency. So I've been doing this almost 20 years. Actually, I think I've exceeded 20 years if you consider online marketing. I love looking for ways to help people make more money, which is why conversion optimization is really, it can be really fun. So, yeah.
Thank you, Lori. All right, let's move on to Phil.
Hi, so I'm Phil Drinkwater. I started in the industry about 20 years ago. I literally built a business from nothing, and over the years worked on SEO and I think conversion rate optimization first off about 15 years ago. I've done plenty of split testing and UX and design, and I have a particular interest in psychology and how that impacts people's journeys.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. And then we have Robert.
Hey everybody, Robert Portillo. I own an agency here in Los Angeles called Nimbus Marketing, and we help our clients with search engine optimization and conversion rate optimization. And I'm the founder of the Facebook group Conversion Rate Optimization Junkies. That's it.
Awesome. All right, so we've got a great panel here. All right, let me just mute you, Robert. There's a lot of feedback. If you have headphones, please go ahead and put them on. I don't know. I cannot see if you have them. All right, so we're pretty much done with the introductions here. We're going to move on to actually talking about the store that we're going to focus on today, which is Mark's store. I'm going to let him pronounce it properly because I'm going to massacre the name. I apologize. But Mark, why don't you take couple of minutes, tell us a little bit about the store, your current challenges, what you've done, tried, worked, like successes, failures, give us a little bit of context so that we can start giving you, analyzing, probing, and give you some advice. And I will give you actually your screen. You can share your screen if you want. Go. I will add it to the stream. There we go. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Mark. I've been a professional developer for over 20 years, but about 3-4 years ago, we decided together with my wife to do something completely different, and that is sell children's clothing. But instead of doing it the regular way with a regular store, we thought we'd do something completely different. So we have basically, we let our customers create a profile. Then using that profile, my wife will find clothes matching that profile and will send it as a surprise package. So our customers generally don't know what they're getting. They just set a budget and they tell us what they like and what they don't like. We call it a subscription, but in the end, it's not really a subscription because the customer needs to tell us when they want the next box, because it's very hard for us to predict when the kids have grown enough for new clothes. We have tried many different things. I like tech. I like changing stuff. I like to test stuff using A/B testing. And we have grown not just the questionnaire, for example. When we started, we had 4 questions. Now we have around 17, I believe. But also the front page and different steps in between of how to get from basically a new customer to become, or a not a customer to becoming a customer. The biggest challenge is conversion rate, of course. It's a big thing. We are at around 1% now. When we started, we were around 0.5%. The last things that I changed was that there's a header video now, and there's a very clear add to start button here. So that's a short intro. I hope that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good start, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of different questions from the panelists here that are going to help them to probe a little bit into what could be improved and what could make a difference for you. So feel free to unmute yourself, start joining the conversation. If you're not talking or you don't have anything to say, please mute yourself, because it's going to create a lot of feedback, especially if you don't have headphones. So, but now you guys are the experts. What would you ask Mark, or what would you say or discuss? Basically, the floor is yours. So let's talk.
Hey, Mark, could you start by telling us a little bit more about your target audience? I understand this is for children, but when you imagine your ideal customer, what are some of the attributes about that family?
So they're women. About 99.9% of our customers are all women, ages from about 22 till even in the 50s. They have kids between 0 and 8 around. We can go higher than that, but mostly in that age range is where we are, where we have clothes. They're busy. Most of them, they are busy. And they don't like shopping, but not necessarily they don't like shopping, but they feel insecure about finding the right outfits, making sure that the outfits are the right quality and that they match together and are in the right size.
And building off of that, in terms of the specifics of the box, you mentioned matching. So is an individual box matching within the set, or what's the criteria that matches for that?
We always try to match, of course, the clothes that we send. That could be one set depending on your budget. Well, not one, 2 sets, I think is the minimum, depending on your budget. And we try to match different clothing pieces together so that you may have, like, even if you have 4 items, there may be 3 sets out of them or something like that.
So quick question for me. So when you're deciding on the outfits, how can the parents influence the kind of clothes and maybe colors and styles that you deliver to them?
Well, we have a very big questionnaire. I can walk through it very quickly.
Yep.
But we ask a lot of questions. So I'll just use an existing profile. So you start with boy, girl, or if you don't want to tell us, then it's completely empty. And we go to the name and the age of the child. Then we have what type of styles do you like? Are you more in the cute type of range, or do you like colorful stuff? So these are very high level questions. We ask what type of brands do you know and use? So not necessarily what you get from us, but more or less what, so that we know what you like. The size you need. Then there is what type of clothing you may not need. Maybe you don't want any sunglasses this time, or these type of things. So, because that may change every time. What colors you don't like. So you like all colors, but maybe you don't really like pink or gray. These are the tints of the colors. Then we have what type of patterns you like, whether you have wool allergy or not, what type of fabrics you like or not, size for pants, shoes. I'm going a bit quicker now. Whether or not you need shoes, maybe you don't want any winter boots anymore because winter is almost over. What we do is when we have room in the budget, we sometimes put in a nice toy or something fun for the child itself. So it's not just clothing and making mom very happy, but also making the kids happy. Whether or not you be open to receiving used clothing. And then finally, an open-ended question, whether there's something else you want to say. So we have a lot of input.
I had a lot of questions, and I did go through and do your questionnaire. Among them, why ask which colors I don't like instead of those I prefer? And when you ask about, some of these questions seem more relevant to an older child. For example, if I have an infant, I certainly don't need snow boots, but I also, at least here in the US, there is no accommodation for narrow or wide children if you have a child that's a little bit heavy, which brings up another question, is there are a fair number of children, sadly an increasing number of children who have weight issues, and I don't even see where I would indicate to you that I may need those special accommodations. And if you can't fit that child, that should probably be stated somewhere. So those were a couple of things that I noticed when doing the questionnaire.
We have one part where there's pants size, whether we want people to have adjustable pants and these type of things. In general, our match rate, we have about 5% of the value that we send out, we get back from our customers. So in that respect, I think we're doing a very good job.
Yeah.
But I can see that people that may have a heavier child want to have an option to add that. That's a good point.
Yeah, or like my son was so skinny, I couldn't keep anything up on him. We just put him in overalls, and that's the opposite end of the problem was getting things that were long enough and thin enough. And I think if you have a child in those, because if I had a heavy child, I would just assume you don't fit them and wouldn't even bother, when maybe you can, maybe you can't. I think these are some of the questions that you probably need a little thought around.
Cool.
Sorry.
We as I said, we've grown this questionnaire from only 4 questions when we started in 2017 to what it is now. So we are always, the shoes actually have been added only 2 weeks ago because we started adding shoes to our boxes. So I'm happy with that input. That's yeah, cool.
What's your completion rate from those who start this to finish it?
The actual questionnaire. So when people, this is of the last 14 days. When you start the questionnaire, it's we started here with 313, and when they ended, there were 235. So there's and this is actually a bit more than I'm used to. There's generally not a very big drop off there.
Okay.
So can I ask, in terms of the audience, does all the audience start at the homepage generally, or are people starting further into the site on other landing pages maybe? Is the start of the journey mainly the homepage?
Yes.
Okay. Because so I was having a look at the homepage, and so I'm always really interested in how you can kind of use design to be clear about certain things. And looking down the page, people will tend to skim. First off, they'll skim. They'll look through and they'll just have a bit of a scroll down the page. And one of the things that didn't really massively stick out to me was actually at least on mobile, which I understand that lots of your traffic is mobile. How does the magic work section? The starting point of that is the questions. Tell us which styles you need and what clothes your kids need. So I skim read the homepage, and I just didn't feel like that was something I was really left with. And having a look now at obviously the amount of detail that you have in the questionnaire, I guess I find myself somewhat surprised, and I'm probably surprised in a good way. There's a lot of detail in there for people to make a decision, and as your stats show, you clearly have a relatively low drop-off on that questionnaire. So people are clearly happy with the amount of data, but I'd almost, yes, how the magic work is a great kind of section title, but the thing that I really wanted to know was, well, how do you decide? If I'm thinking someone else is going to be choosing what my child's dressed in, how do you decide? And that to me was a really kind of big thing, but it just didn't feel like I got it from the homepage.
Yeah. So what would you recommend then? So a bigger description of we will have like 17 questions where you can tell us what you like and what you don't like, or would you even go as far as maybe making a small video of somebody filling out the questionnaire?
Yeah, I mean, anything you do obviously is going to need to be tested, split tested ideally, and try, the different options. How does the magic work is a great title, but if I look kind of down here, there's you've then got to read the next bit. How's the magic work? Get new outfits for your kids. Oh, sorry, just scroll back up a little bit to that section. Sorry, keep going up. Oh, sorry, other way. If you can go back to the previous, the how the magic works section. There we are. Yeah. So get new outfits for your kids that fit perfectly, are comfortable, and in the style you love, in just 3 easy steps. And then I've got to read, all of these kind of sections as well. And I just wonder whether there's a much simpler way of getting that across. It's also, from a purely visual point of view, and this will only really impact desktop, not necessarily mobile, but it's quite kind of scrunched into one little section in the screen, and you could be using a bit more of the width of the screen, at least on that, to help provide a bit more space between the elements, because as I say, it's all quite sort of scrunched together a little bit, and when things are a bit scrunched together, I think people's eyes tend to gloss over, and if I have a look at the sort of general design and sort of typography and so that's the fonts and font sizes and the information hierarchy that comes from that. Oh, and I'll explain what information hierarchy is for anyone who doesn't really understand it. So it's the relative importance of the elements on the page. So how does the magic work? Because that's in a different font and larger and bolder, that's considered more important to people. So these sections that I think are actually really important, which is it's incredibly important to have this this huge detailed piece of information that doesn't really come across. It's almost like the least important bit rather than the most important bit. So I would say, from a design point of view, trying to turn that around a little bit and make the really key element here be the things that's particularly important, which is tell us which styles you like and what clothes your kids need. I don't know how everyone else feels about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with respect to a desktop, I kind of make sure it works, but that's pretty much the extent of my optimization for it. Especially because about 96% is using their mobile to browse and order on a website. I know that's not entirely an excuse to just ignore the 4%, but when I make something work, I go mobile first, and then I try to make it work on the desktop as well.
Yep.
If you're
One
at
of the
96%, that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut in. So one of the first things I caught, and I looked at desktop first, and then I popped open the mobile. I agree that you've got an enormous amount of wasted space on both sides, but but the effect here is that it's made this page incredibly long. And the one thing we do know is the further down the page, the greater the drop off. So you may have some really important information here that just isn't even being seen because people are scrolling so much. And I'm talking about desktop, but even on mobile is I don't know if that's Matt scrolling.
No, this is me.
There is no back to the top either. So if I'm trying to remember what I saw that caught my eye, I don't have an easy path back. So I just think on the desktop, you just haven't used your space as efficiently as you could. And I mean, I had a few other issues as well. And I realized one of the things you did, which is kind of cool, is you apparently, no? Okay, so you have questions on the desktop, which I don't think belong on the homepage at all, to be honest with you. Among those reasons is that if I want to reference them at a later date, and I'm elsewhere in the site, I don't find them. I mean, I think you have a lot of issues here that are really important, like how does the subscription work? Well, you're saying it's not really even a subscription. So, and that's something that should probably be very clear before somebody clicks a buy button. Your return policy is buried in this question. And those are the kinds of things I ask before I make a purchase. And if I've gone into the questionnaire, there's not even an easy way to get to any of that information. And that concerns me. And then on mobile, it looks like those questions don't even exist. So if I have those questions.
Which questions do you mean now? Because that I'm confused about now. Because the content on mobile and desktop is the same. I'm not hiding something on mobile actually, but so I'm not sure which part you mean.
Okay, I see brands, I see the footer, I see get started, I see comments like free delivery and free easy returns, but if those sections open, and mind you, I am looking at it through Google's Webmaster Tools. Let me pop open my phone, but I didn't see any of that stuff actually present on the mobile version. And in fact, I'm having, there it goes. Whee! So we have free delivery, stop shopping. So you have like these nice little headlines there that are great, but I don't see the questions that exist on the homepage on my mobile phone at all. I mean, I'm literally looking at it on my phone.
Do you mean the ones that I'm showing now?
I see that on my phone. Let me see if I can tell you where I see questions right above the happy unpacking.
All the way to...
Yeah, there's no questions. You go straight into testimonials. And that's weird because I'm seeing questions between the testimonials in your footer. I'm
wondering if this is maybe a caching issue, because that I used to have that. That might actually be an issue, a technical issue that I need to figure out. Because
I noticed I saw two different versions of the site. Like at the moment, this version has a static image on it, but I did see the video as well. And I've been all over your site. So something is doing odd things, maybe.
Yeah, I've noticed, but I thought it was just my browser caching an older version. But if you've seen it, then that's definitely not an older version. I'll have to check that, because I
got
used to have a plot like this, what I have shown on the screen now. Do you have questions in between there? And that I now put into its own page.
Yeah, it should have all, and it probably multiple pages, because if I'm looking for your shipping and return policies, I don't necessarily want to know how you handle twins, but that's a great question for a lot of parents. So, you know, I think you have multiple pages here.
I think I got that page you're talking about when I was already logged into my profile and tried to go back to the home page. I kept getting what felt like a specific page for users who are already logged in. I don't know if that's the exact situation, but that might be why that page is showing up.
I do find logged in, I do find a page labeled questions, but I don't think I saw that when I wasn't.
No, what you describe is an older version, and that should. I need to double check that what's going on there, because that shouldn't be visible anywhere anymore. So okay, that's.
I'll just jump in here for a sec. Just a quick observation. Your main call to action is your account. If you go back to the home page, there's one that says, I think, your profile or something like that. Yeah, your profile. To me, that's not a call to action. That's like a link to the account page, and that's what I think people are going to perceive.
That's because I'm logged in.
Okay, so what does it say when it order now? Okay, so okay, that makes sense. Interesting. But if they're but that's still a relevant question though. If they're logged in, do you still want them to just access their account or take another action, such as order again, or like reorder for the previous batch that they've received?
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a question, since you have relevant calls to action when they're not logged in, but when they are logged in, I'm just wondering what's the right action for them to take. I'm not sure if going to their account is necessarily the right thing. What do you want them to do?
It seemed a little less than intuitive how to order a new box. And I'm wondering what percentage of your people forget they might need to change sizes.
Very few, to be honest.
Okay.
I think so. When you go order, well, I'll log in then first. There's definitely a point making like something instead of order now, order again. That I could. That's a good point. When you click that button, you basically get here. To the profiles page, and there you can say make changes, and then you can make the changes that you want. Okay. And then you continue again. But yeah, that's a good point. Your account is maybe
Mark, could you show us how you would get an ongoing subscription versus a one-time box? Where do I make that choice?
Well, you don't. That's basically you tell us when you want a next box. We don't do every 2 months you get a new box type of thing, because things change in the meantime, right? So you want different sizes, but you want also maybe because the season has changed, you want different colors. So we are not sending something automatically ever. What we do is we send you an email after about 7 weeks to ask, hey, are you ready for a new box? And we do that a few times in the following weeks after that. And then you go in here and you basically repeat the same process and order a box.
We can get back to the question I'm showing the screen, but I just wanted to show you we had a comment about the name. We can get back to you to this, but there we go.
I don't see the screens you're seeing, because if I do that, you get that in-zoomed effect, right? Because I'm sharing.
You might not see it.
The comment was that there was some innuendo in the meaning of this name in English. So for English speakers, they may not realize this is for children.
Okay. I'll check the comments later.
Well, it basically says, well, I'll just read the comment real quick. It says, I hope, sorry, let me show it on the screen. I hope I can be the first to point out that the potential language crossover issue of having a name that sounds like smack ass in to English speakers for a children's clothing line may not be the best choice for targeting English markets. However, for lingerie or others, great choice.
Right. we have been discussing the name with respect to, because we sell in the whole of Europe. We are mostly focused now on Switzerland and Norway due to certain import issues and stuff like that. We have been discussing whether or not we should make it a more English name, because I also have the domain Kids Got Style, for example, so we could easily do something there. But one of the things that we do sell is the Scandinavian kind of quality brand style, even though we also have a few Dutch and German brands and so on. But so we wanted to bring that forward in the name as well.
So I was hoping if we could go back out to the homepage, not logged in, and just see from the starting point what someone might, literally the first thing they see and the second thing they see and the third thing they see. So first off, the best kids clothes magically delivered. That's got my interest. Well, I mean, if that was what I was looking for, that's got my interest. I'm now thinking, this is great. This is what I want. This is going to save me so much time, etc. I didn't even know this existed. This is brilliant. Now, the next button is Take Your Style Quiz. So I clicked on that, and it asked, well, actually, I mean, it's probably worth, kind of doing it. It asked what you do and don't like, and then it asked you about the challenges you face. And then the next thing it asked was my name and my email address. And I immediately kind of thought, hang on a sec, I thought I was doing a style quiz here. Maybe there's an expectation from me of what a style quiz is, but what I was really expecting was something that was like, okay, I'm gonna learn about what my child's style is. These kind of Facebook things that you used to get 3 or 4 years ago, where you choose a load of options and then it says you are an Aquarius or whatever it happened to be. That was almost what I was expecting. So I think the button naming there for me could maybe do with a little bit of work, because I just wasn't expecting what I got. And one of the real difficulties with button naming, so when people are using websites, they'll choose the next thing that seems closest to what they believe their journey should be through the site. And Take Your Style Quiz was like, oh, this is great. I can go and find out what my style is. My style is Uber Cool 70, whatever it is. And I just wasn't expecting the third page down to then ask me for my name and my email address. So I thought there was a bit of a disconnect on that. And at that point, I probably would have backed out. And I don't know whether you have any stats which specifically show the percentage of people who click that button and then go on. But moving on a little bit from that, I think the thing I would have quite liked to see is, from then on, the next step was, if I can go back to it 1 second. So we handpick and match kids' clothes from quality brands, blah, blah, blah. So that's a little bit of extra information, fine with that. And then the next thing was just quite a lot of text I have to read. When you think about it from the point of view of a person, you're asking them to spend their next 2 minutes reading a block of text, because you're saying by being quite high up on the page, that's really important. It's important that you read all of this. And in actual fact, I mean, it's sort of, your journey, and it's a few key things about the product, about the site. But at that point, you probably haven't got me yet. I didn't think, that was why I was thinking about how does the magic work? I'd even look at moving that above as a parent, you already have, the hi, my name is Mona, and I hope I pronounced that right, correctly, that kind of section. Because I think, if this is a new concept, if I was buying a t-shirt off a t-shirt site, everyone knows what a t-shirt site is. They know what it does. It's clear. You go on, you buy a t-shirt and you leave. It's just really clear. Because this is an unusual concept, and I've seen this actually for the adult market in the UK. I got it advertised to me on Facebook a few years ago. You know, we'll send you clothes every month and you just send us back what you don't like. So I happen to have seen this, but for a lot of people, this will be the first time they see it. So I think the starting point for me would be better to go through this. How does it work? And just make it really, really clear. You answer 17 questions and tell us what you want. We then, the stylist then handpicks the clothes and only keep what you want to kind of keep. I guess the point is that it's almost like it's trying to give me lots of information before I've even really got quite hooked on it and thought, does this really work for me?
And building off that, Phil, I think one of the things I'm seeing here is the value for doing this. You say, we don't want to add stress to parents needing to shop for clothing. And so you want to make sure that the user experience before actually becoming a customer reflects that as well. So for each of these blocks of text or sections, think like, will it be stressful or will it be fun? Or is this setting clear expectations to read this copy? And so I agree that, like, can you show us a little bit more before you tell us so much about it? And I think emphasizing that benefit, I almost want to challenge or hear about the assumption you talked about parents not wanting a subscription, because I would think that if you're trying to reduce stress, kind of setting and forgetting it might be a better experience for parents. So could you tell us a little bit more about how you've decided on this model? Did you interview potential customers, or how do you balance that reducing stress but having flexibility?
So we have 5 kids ourselves, so we have a little bit of experience there. And one of the things is that if you completely automate this with adults, they generally don't change size between boxes. But with kids, we don't know, right? So maybe how do you say that? Maybe they change one size in 2 months, so maybe it takes them 4 months to grow from one size to another size. So we would have to ask anyway whether or not the size still matches and whether the style still matches. And we've been thinking about, okay, do we want to force parents into a fixed schedule, or do we want to be flexible? And in this case, we chose flexible. We haven't done actual research with regards to making this an automatic, purely an automatic subscription. We just basically used the reasoning that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. We asked a question after every order, basically for, okay, what almost stopped you from ordering? So we got a lot of valuable feedback from that. As well as these challenges questions that we put up front. We got a lot of info from that.
Do you see any way to maybe have a middle ground between fully automating like the subscription model and being flexible and, adapting to the child's growth, right? Because you don't know when they move on to the next size, like you said. So do you see any way to sort of be in between of those two?
We have something else that we call Sparekasse, which is an automatic subscription, sort of like Audible. You could compare it with that, where we charge your card every month on a date that you want for a specific amount that you want. And those points that you save can then be changed into for a Sparekasse. So from the financial aspect, there is a way to basically make this a no thinker or whatever, no-brainer. And then you can still choose when you want the new box to come and what type of styles you want in that. It's not entirely as close as where you were suggesting, I think, but yeah.
I mean, I think it's close. If you were, for example, to have a yearly subscription where the parents don't have to worry about anything, they know that they're going to get a certain number of clothes per child during the year, maybe twice a year, whatever it is, whatever frequency makes sense. But then you could get them on a longer term kind of engagement or commitment where sure, you can remain flexible and they can tell you when they would like to receive new clothes, but there would be, for example, a limit of how much you're going to send, how frequently, etc. So I don't know. I see potentially like a possible solution there to go for a subscription model.
As a parent of 3, what Mark was saying is that kids don't grow at predictable rates. What's more, some children are very hard on their clothing, and even if they haven't changed sizes, they may be, going through their pants every 2 months, and maybe my child's still wearing the same size, but we're in desperate need of some more pants. So I think that if you go into a subscription, care would have to be taken to make sure the parent verifies that the sizing's still correct, and that becomes the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think what I had in mind is the workflow you showed, where you have to come back to the site and sign in, and then you have to click into each child. There may be an easier workflow if all you need to do is validate the size. I'd like to sign up for a quarterly box. You get an email that says, are you ready for your next box? Has the size changed? And then a single click. So thinking about ways to really make that an easier process for folks, so they don't need to manually remember, oh, I've got to go order the box again for next month. Have I reviewed everything? Prompting for the things that do change. And then the other thing you mentioned earlier was like a seasonality to it. So I could imagine for parents, as the school year starts, you might want to be prompted to make sure you receive the clothing in time. So just giving those options as they're filling it out, so that it's really expressing how you'll help them anticipate when they'll need more clothing.
Yeah. So you mean like a communication preferences or something like that, so that you can tell us when you want to be reminded? Or
I think specifically I was imagining it as part of the intake. So you want to know what kind of clothes I want, what kind of things I don't want, but you might also want to know what size are they now? Do you anticipate, would you like us to remind you when school starts? Is this the school date? You could kind of think about some quick, easy opt-ins where you're just making certain selections of things that would indicate future communication preferences, but be right in the workflow.
I have a brilliant idea relating to what AJ and Lori expressed so much clearer than I did. You could have one of those big red buttons that says I don't remember what it says on it. It's like an emergency button or like an alarm button. You just press the button and then it triggers a website to send a new order of clothes. I'm just messing around, but I think it's an interesting idea to explore the subscription model. I think there's a way to make it work.
To be honest, for me, it was probably one of my first thoughts as well when this started being discussed about 10 minutes ago. The cheapest sale you'll ever make is to an existing customer. Oh, sorry, Keith. So yeah, to me, if you can allow people to choose, I mean, obviously, your current model is, come and send us, click this button to send us the new box. Well, some people may prefer to be on a subscription. I actually get my dishwasher tablets on a subscription, and one of the things that they have an option of is to skip this box. So they don't talk about canceling the subscription, although that's obviously possible. They talk about skipping this box. And I'm really quite comfortable with that. Now, dishwashers don't change size that I'm aware of. So you still do have that issue. But I think, as was kind of pointed out, there's different ways that you can approach that. So as I think it may have been AJ said, it's like, well, has anything changed? Here are the settings. Has anything changed? And you have your or people always have the option to send the box back, because that's one of your key points. They can send the box back, or they send anything they don't like back. So it's not like you're going to force them to take something. It feels like there may be a lot of growth in that for you. I might be wrong, but without knowing, your sales stats in detail, how many people do come back on a, whatever kind of regular basis. But if that isn't happening, that would seem like a really good kind of growth opportunity to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a couple of things. Can you hear me? Okay. Mark, I want to first start by saying that I love your site. I think it's really cool. I love the colors. I love your whole concept. You know, when I first saw this, I thought, this is cool. This really stands out. Such a great service, beautiful clothes. And you put a lot of heart and soul and love into the site. You know, I love a lot of the graphics. So I didn't want, you know, I think it's important when you're talking about these things to understand that people, you know, put a lot of time into this and to, you know, give credit where it's due and not only talk about the problems, because it's through the, you know, the positive aspects of the site that you can gain insights, not just the negative aspects too.
Robert, you're right. I think we were missing the positive reinforcement in these calls. And these
yeah, and if I could, I'd like to share my screen and just kind of go through.
Yeah, go ahead. Just share it and then I'll add it to the stream.
So let's see here. So, you know, starting at the top, you know, by the way, that said about the site, the whole site is riddled with friction and anxiety. And those are the two conversion killers. There's a lot going on here that are just causing a lot of friction and a lot of anxiety that could be contributing to a lower conversion rate than you might otherwise be experiencing. So starting at the top, I mean, you know, I never thought anything. I mean, whoever made that comment, it was pretty funny about the smack us. And I never thought that. You know, I think we're all used to weird IKEA names in the United States, and that's just what it seemed like to me, even though you're from Norway. But it's not really a kid's clothing. Like, I don't think the tagline does the site justice. I think the tagline is a visual cue as to what the site's about. One of the first things that visitors do when they come to a site is try to, you know, center themselves on where they're at. You know, okay, that's the first question. Where am I? And the second question is, what can I do here? Third question is, why should I do it? And so I think a better tagline would be in order. You know, it's kids clothing shopping service, or, you know, obviously that's long, but something more descriptive of, you know, what the company actually does. For me, this unusual navigation here is a problem. You click here and then the navigation shows up over on the right. Really weird. And then, you know, it's your account up here. And, you know, so I'm not a fan of this unusual navigation. For me, logo goes in the top left, and you don't want people to think and have to relearn how to navigate a site. You can't underestimate the importance of that.
That's on mobile as well.
What's that?
Is that on mobile as well? Because that's one of the things that we changed lately is I'm
used to this being over on the right. I'm not sure if that's a Norwegian thing or not. But for me, I'm not even going to talk about mobile, because right now I'm more concerned about the psychological flow of the site and aligning the content of the site in the way that matches with the way people think. So the headline, get the best kids clothes magically delivered. I'm not sure the apostrophe belongs there. This is a little side note. I've seen it both ways, but I thought it was before the S. But this best, it's like, is your thing really, selling the best clothes? Is that what you're doing? I don't think that's really the headline here. The headline is, get your kids' clothes picked out for you. That's really what it is. And you want a headline that more aligns with what the site does. So by having the tagline in there that explains what the company does, and then having a headline that reinforces that, you'll be better off in getting people started in the right direction. And then this, your profile, I love the video. This is really a great idea. I think that's fantastic. But as you go down, to your profile, that's a weird, I know, okay, I'm logged in and I couldn't figure out how to log out. I can open up a incognito, take your style quiz. It's kind of weird. Like there's a disconnect. There's no continuity between the headline and the take the style quiz. Like for me, you need a sub headline that leads into the CTA that says, hey, simply, just answer a few questions and we're going to find you clothes that, going to blow your, be more beautiful than you could have picked out in person. Take your style quiz, so that there's an alignment and a continuity between the headline, the sub headline, and the CTA. But right now, this visual hierarchy is all out of order. Like, why would anyone read this down here when they have this? And then now you're calling them to action before this. The call to action belongs below the subheadline, not above it. So, and then it says, we handpick and match kids' clothes from quality brands and deliver them to you in a surprise package. So that's cool if the headline led into that, right? And I'm not sure about this magically delivered. Like for me, that causes anxiety for me. It's like, I don't want any magic in my delivery. I want my delivery on time, right? So, and then we handpick and match kid clothes from quality brands and deliver them to you in a surprise package. So, you know, this is okay. I would get some more adjectives in here, you know, like that, you know, we handpick and match amazing or incredibly stylish clothes from high quality brands and deliver them to you in a beautiful package with a surprise toy in every package or something like that, right? Don't what's the surprise? Like, people don't know what the surprise is. Like, is it going to be a surprise? Is it going to be a bunch of glitter? It's going to get all over their carpet? Like, you know, don't say things like this. Like, for me, that causes anxiety. It's like, that's not necessarily a good thing. All while you relax and enjoy more quality time with your family. This is just not necessary. This is
Robert. Can I jump in for a quick second? Because Mark, I think it sounds like you've got some folks who are, you know, have had really good experiences with you. And to Robert's point of, we want to make sure these words are describing the experience, talking to the benefits. Lori has a comment here that we haven't mentioned benefits here. Consider calling some of your customers and write the words that they say when they describe what your business does for them. Because more powerful than the words we'll suggest for you will be the things that come directly from your customers.
Yeah, I like that. So, and then the second section here. So I don't know if anybody caught this or not, but for me, Mark, are you familiar with the story brand framework? Because
Yes.
Yeah, and I see that's what you're trying to do here, and it's actually really brilliant. It's just too verbose. Like, it's not alignment. Like, this is great. Like, as a parent, you already have enough on your mind. Finding the right clothes for your kids should not take more of that time, right? I don't know about, you're talking about the stress here, and that's a negative thing. You don't want to talk about negative things. You want to keep this as positive as possible. You know, finding the right kids shouldn't take so much time. That's it. It's all about time. It's not about stress. It's about time. A lot of people like to shop. It's just they don't have the time, and that's who the people that you're targeting, right? So, and this is good. I would keep that and then get rid of all of this. This is unnecessary. This is how you can make it less verbose. And this doesn't mean anything. New challenges arise at every age. This right here should be the next line. Children grow out of their clothes quickly, and shopping for new clothes can be time-consuming and challenging. So you're talking about time. The people that would pay you, it's not about money. They have more money than time. So it's about time. Time is our only non-renewable asset. That's what you should be talking about, saving time. That's what's that?
One of the feedback things that we get a lot is actually also about finding matching outfits. So this one lower than that. It's difficult.
Okay, so that could be your secondary value proposition. So first is about time, and then, you know, finding outfits that match together, right? And then this right here again is a way you can delete this and make this less verbose. And then now you're talking about the secondary value proposition right here. And I don't think this is necessary right here. This is going off topic. So you're lacking a cohesive message here. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, this is just an idea, right? This is just my interpretation that it's about time. So you don't want to get off topic here. You want to target the people that want to save time. Speak to someone specifically instead of being all over the place like you are kind of right now. So we believe getting new clothes for your kids should be an enjoyable and stress-free experience, right? And then some of this here can be reworded too. And this right here, just like a pleasant surprise. Like, for me, I know what you're trying to say, but a free toy in every package or something like that. Like, be more specific about specificity is one of the tenets of good sales copy. And when you're vague like that, a pleasant surprise, like, what is that? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know what this pleasant surprise is. I didn't see any pleasant surprises here. It looked like just clothes in the video. So you have to be careful about this vague terminology. So you did a good job for me, like countering what other people said. I think this section is brilliant because you're tapping into the pain point. That's the first thing. You have a value proposition, you get them interested, and then you talk about the pain, and then you present the solution, right? And then you talk about how the solution works, which you do really well here. How does the magic work? Now, I don't know if I would say, how does the magic work? I don't know. I don't understand this magic necessarily, right? I think this is kind of a bit of a waste. I would, again, just talk about the time, but you can say that if you want. That's your thing.
How do we help you save time?
Yeah, get new outfits for kids that are comfortable and style love in just 3 easy steps. And again, pay attention to the visual hierarchy here that, like Phil was saying, right? Big, giant headline, medium subheadline, and then smaller text, and can stay consistent with that so that they know the order in which to read things. It makes things more snackable as well. Tell us which styles you like and what clothes your kids need. Your stylist handpicks, you just say, our stylist handpicks clothes specifically for your child. Again, get some adjectives in it. Beautiful clothes, wonderful textiles. That's what sells, is getting people to imagine their kids in the clothing. It's not just clothes. We pick clothes. It's like you have to sell this stuff. And by using this descriptive terminology, that's how you get people excited about your product. Try for 14 days. Only pay for the items you keep and want to love. So now this is the process level value proposition. And now you want to talk about the next thing you want to talk, like this section right here is just a complete waste. I like the pictures and I love the style and everything like that, but now you need to make your promise, right? What is your promise? The promise is, hey, this is what everybody's been talking about. Like, what are the parameters of this? Like, right, you have 14 days. We guarantee you're going to love this stuff, but if you don't, you just send it back in a prepaid postage box and drop it in the mail, or give it to your mail person. It won't take you any time to do it, to send it back, right? And 100% guaranteed, or your money back, or whatever the service level proposition is. So this is the process level value proposition. Now you talk about the service level value proposition, which is your promise to them about what, how it's going to work and how easy everything is going to be. And then after that, so you kind of do this here, but it just gets a little busy. Like for me, this is redundant a bit here. So you want to be careful about the wording. And the other thing that I noticed too is like, one of the main points of sales copy is to create a conversation with them. If you were talking to them in person, you wouldn't have this robotic tone. You will get minimally the value of the amount you pay based on the recommended retail. It sounds so robotic. You can easily just turn that into a contraction. You'll get the value. Like this is just weird wording right here. You got to fix this. This is not the way any human talks. I'm not sure if this is a Norwegian translation or whatever, but you got to fix that. And then this right here looks like the year 1891, right? It's like join 1001, 891 other parents and order your first. See, now you're getting a little ahead of yourself here. You're saying and order. You're telling them to join, which this is a cognitive bias called community, right? Or consensus. And what you're doing with this cognitive bias is trying to make them feel like they belong to something, but then you're saying to join and order. But that's not what belonging is. You're trying to promote a community here of people that have chose your company to save time, right? To get beautiful clothes and save time. And let's not forget the kids, Well, what's going to happen with the kids? Are they going to be happy? They're going to smile. Their friends are going to be blown away by how great their clothes are. And they're going to want to, sign up for your service too. So something like that. So, and then, when you're implementing the story brand, and for those of you who are not familiar with it or don't like it or whatever it is, the story brand is based on the training that we've all had for hundreds, thousands of years through movies, television shows, handing down history verbally. It's the stakes of the story. What are the stakes? It's like, we talk about Star Wars, right? Star Wars is, the stakes are if Luke doesn't, shoot the Death Star, humanity is going to suffer greatly. But, so what are the stakes here? Well, if you don't sign up with us, you're going to keep buying clothes. You're going to keep spending a lot of time buying clothes and not finding nearly the beautiful variety that your guide, the specialists, can find, right? Because that's all we do is shop for clothes. Like we can find way better clothes than you in way less time, right? Of course, you want to, say it better than that. But that's the stakes, right? You're jumping into how good the brands are, but you haven't you haven't raised the stakes here and said, this is what's at risk if you don't sign up for our service. You're going to keep wasting time, not finding nearly as good a close, and so on and so forth. And then the next part of the story brand framework is, hey, but if you do, you're going to have clothes that your friends are going to, envy you for. Your kids are going to be the talk of their school, right? That this type of language, that you would use in person. That's what you want. And then after you talk about that, then you prove it, right? So this is the social proof, and I love how you did this. This is just wonderful. I've never seen anything like this, and I think it's just fantastic. They look like handwritten notes. Some of the best review formats I've ever seen. And then this right here, this image down here at the bottom is kind of weird, happy unpacking, and they're unpacking toys instead of clothes. So there's a disconnect again there. This is creating friction and anxiety in the minds of your users. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted to kind of go through the page, and I really appreciate all the input everybody else gave, and I just wanted to add my own kind of take on things.
Yeah, and I know that we can talk for hours about this stuff, but we've reached an hour. I do want to respect your time. I did ask you for a commitment of 1 hour, to stick around for an hour. AJ just had to drop off. So if you have to go right now, feel free to do so. You've already provided a ton of value for Mark, I'm sure. Right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I understand if you have to leave. If you have more to say and you want to stick around for a few more minutes, that's great too. I mean, last time we went on for... mostly because of Robert, but we went on for over 90 minutes. So as you wish, really.
I had a few questions, and let me just share screen quickly, and then I'll try to be short, which is not what I'm famous for. I guess I am famous for being short, just not short-worded. There's a difference. To one of the comments, I think it was Keith brought up, and as I went through the questionnaire earlier, I had the same thought, which is that this, I think you can see that you got an awful lot of areas, and I think some kind of a progress meter might be worth testing. I would also ask for the name and email of the parent towards the end, just because you really want to get as much information here as you can. And it just felt like it went on forever. And maybe because my kids are grown and I don't have grandbabies, I'm not really in your market, but I just felt it was a pretty huge ask. And I think it helps to have people know they're moving towards the end. The other thing, and I was over here on your homepage. So when we, conciseness, which is what Robert was talking to, you have a message to hit. And I thought this picture was odd there too. Let me just take this back to responsive in a full desktop. I'm just going to make this bigger since I'm not logged in here. Again, we talked earlier about there being a lot of vertical space sucked up without a whole lot of value. I think you're talking too much about here. I think the goal is that you're going to make my life easier. You're going to save me time. I'm going to get high quality clothes my kids love, and it's not going to cost me a fortune. Or tailored to fit your budget's actually great, because although this isn't buying me better quality clothing, it's only getting me more, which is a distinct difference. But I don't think I think only you can say top brand, which would be a good qualifier for the garments that you offer, and offer a link to this page. Maybe Robert or somebody else disagrees with me, but I think this is just taking up space. I love these. They're beautiful, but I would be inclined to carousel them so I don't have to scroll so far. So those were among the other, because up here, you really want to tell somebody instantly what you're going to get. Well, you're going to get great clothes with no effort, or minimal effort. That, and that's not, that's not a refined statement, but that's kind of the gist of what you're trying to say is we're going to make your life easier because we're going to do all the work and help you make sure your kids look great, and at the price you want to spend. So I'm going to stop sharing and shut up.
I want to just comment on the where to ask your email address, because naturally I know that is a friction point. We had it at the end of the series of questions as well, just before you create a profile. And that basically caused the same level of drop-off on total on the whole line. So yes, people went through the whole process, but then when they needed to leave their email address, they still kind of said no. So we figured it shouldn't really matter then whether we put it in front or at the end, except that if we put it on front, we can actually use all of that information in our communication emails towards the customer again. I am going to work towards only requiring the email address when you actually leave, when you actually start adding your address information and stuff like that. Which will result in less people on our emails and so, of course. So I'm not entirely sure if I can say, start with email address, but then say something like optional or whatever, or sign up for a newsletter or something like that kind of thing.
Could you set up an exit intent if you didn't already collect it?
A what?
An exit intent pop-up. So if they get ready to leave and they didn't already give you your email, you can ask them, or you could even prompt them if they'd like to save their progress on their profile, because maybe the kid screamed and they had to go nurse, breastfeed or something. So, there's a lot of reasons somebody may bug out but still have interest.
But those don't really, at least I haven't found something that works well on the mobile, and then it's pretty much useless. Because out of the 4% desktop users, I'm guessing I'm 2% of those testing. We get no sales on desktop, actually. I did a search the other day, like in the previous year, there was like one of them or something. So a lot of those nice things, because I think on the desktop, something like that would really work. Yeah.
That's really interesting. That for me, that, I know from, well, at least I only know from my own experience that my wife and I work on desktop computers all day long. And then I don't really shop when I'm on my work computer. Not much. I mean, she might. But generally speaking, you do these type of shopping things in your spare time where you don't feel pressured and you can just browse and enjoy, the experience and these types of things. So it makes sense to me that you would have more of a mobile first conversion profile. I did spend quite a bit of time going through the interview process too. And I had a lot of concerns about, the way the process worked. I mean, we could get really deep into the process, but I'll just say that it just didn't work for me like the way I expected it. And the big thing that I would be aware of is like, this right here, like, again, I want to commend you on, I'll just share my screen again. But I want to commend you.
We focus only on the negative.
No. Can you see my screen?
No, you need to share it and then I'll add it to the stream.
Oh, okay, there it is. Okay. So this right here,
there we go.
Your email address. Wait, why do you need my email? Like, I love the personality that you put into the site. It's just really a beautiful thing that nobody does. It's way too rare. And what you really have going for you is how unique the site is and the the style of the site. But where you really need to focus, I think, is on saying the same thing with many fewer words. Wait, why do you need my email address? We get it. This whole line isn't even necessary. You just delete it, and this whole thing reads better. Even one extra word in your copy can reduce conversions. And then also, there was a right here's a typo. One typo can kill conversions too. And it could cause somebody to lose trust in your company. So go to Typosaurus and just have them scan your entire site for typos, and it's free. You can review that. They'll find things like this. But be careful about being too verbose. I mean, people are just incredibly lazy. They want to shop. They want to see the clothes. And that's one of the other things I didn't see. Like, I didn't get a whole lot of opportunity to just like look at the clothes. And I think a lot of people shopping, want to see more examples of the clothes. So you might want to, I don't know, again, like there's a lot to consider here. That's why I just always focus first on the homepage, because this is going to get you going in the right direction and dictate the tone and sequence of the rest of the site. But, I just didn't see a whole lot of the close. Like, what I would do is like maybe have a button that says, hey, see the close, and it just shows a lot of the different things that you gather. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. I like
on the menu. If you click on the menu, then on examples, we have actually quite a lot of examples.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a weird menu item. It should say,
but clear.
yeah, exactly. Examples of what, right? Clarity is your friend. But I like this right here. I don't think you need all of this text, right? Just say, select from the top brands, and then get rid of all this and just have those. People know these brands, and they don't need all this text up here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to say with respect to the interview process. I found it to be it was really cool after I got through the first sections. And then going back to the last thing I'll say is, like, everybody was kind of talking about the subscription. And I thought of this idea, like, how like kids mark their height on the wall? They sell these templates, and you could give those out for free. And they're like a poster, and they go up on the wall, and they probably wouldn't cost you much, if anything. And you could give these away for free for the kids, so they can mark their height on the wall, and it automatically will show, the different sizes they are, based on their height. And that could help you, when you venture into the idea of a subscription model, to, kind of make it a fun way for them to track their kids' size.
Yeah, I like that. As soon as you said like the wall marking, you give away the poster, I got it. Like, yes, at the now it's time to get your new box. Now it's time to get a new box.
Yeah. There you go. You could do so much with that. Yeah, even better. Yeah.
It's just one thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's just one thing on the less is more. I think reducing copy. So. When I was working with some copywriters in the past, normally, copywriters will write. And I don't know whether you've had the copy produced or if you've produced it yourself. And I think it's the same thing if you producing copy yourself as well. I used to say, I'd get the copywriters to write some stuff, and then I'd say to them, right, go away and halve it. Because what it forces people to do is to think like, well, how important is each bit? How important is each word? What is the relevance of each word? How much can it help move the prospect forward? What am I really doing that for? And it's surprising, when people come back and you read the content again, it still does the same job, but it's literally half the amount of effort. And if you think, most homepages, I don't know your stats particularly, but most homepages might have 1.5 minutes or something like that as a kind of average time, for example, or something. If you're trying to get people to read as much as they can within 1.5 minutes, a challenge, it's a useful challenge to actually get someone to do that. Read all of the words on your page and see how far down you get in 1.5 minutes. And it's actually not that far. You've probably missed most of the kind of key points and things. So,
Phil, do you ever watch a lot of user recordings too? Like the way people go,
yes.
They never read. There's blah, blah. They just blaze through the site, and they're not reading it at all. Most of them don't read anything. It's insane.
They don't. And I'm a massive fan of skimmability. So this is, my kind of key thing. I always look for the to generate the major parts of the story in probably just the headings, because most people do a little bit of a scroll, try and get some idea of what it is, and then make a decision about whether it's worth spending the next 2 minutes on it or the next 5 minutes on it or whatever it is. I always break this stuff down into about 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds as you start. And then another maybe 30 seconds to a minute and then possibly another minute and a half. And after that, you can, people will start to actually seriously, read the content and be thinking, okay, I'm interested in this. And yeah, so as Robert said, I've seen thousands of kind of recordings of people, and you'll literally see them go scroll straight through. And if you haven't got Vista recordings, by the way, on your website, Clarity from Microsoft is free. That came out this year. Fantastic tool for for doing that.
Does Clarity work on mobile? I didn't think it did.
I thought it did, but
Yeah.
I think at first you're right, Lori. I don't think it did at first. I'm not sure if it does now.
I think
so. I haven't checked it recently.
But I've been using Hotjar as well.
Yeah. Going back to Phil's point, though, when you have half the number of words, they double their potency too, right? So it's like Phil said, it's half the work and twice the impact, right? It was philosopher Blaise Pascal who once apologized to his friend for writing him such a long letter, and because he said he didn't have time to write a short one. And that's really the point. Is it's hard to. I'm lucky. I had a mentor, and he was for 35 years. He produced Tide, Volvo, Volkswagen commercials, and even a few movies. And he taught me something called wordsmithing, and that was amazing to me. Like I would write a paragraph, and he'd be okay. He'd go, and the paragraph, about 5-6 sentences, would become one sentence, and it would say the exact same thing, and it would actually have a chance of getting read, right? So that brilliance in brevity is such a tough thing to do. But, and sometimes it takes a second set of eyes. Like I know for me, it's easy for me to go in and wordsmith someone else's copy. But then when I write my own, I'm like, I need help.
Definitely the last bit as well. I write all of the content myself, and it's hard to make it smaller. And then I worry, okay, am I now not missing something important and stuff like that? But yeah, I take your points.
I guess
the trick is.
Sorry, go.
I was going to say the trick is to think like your user. You may be part of your target market, but you're not necessarily your customer. And when you shop, now I'm a detail freak. I read every piece of copy on every page, but that's such a small percentage of shoppers. Most people, like Robert, I think was saying, they skim. They just get down the page. They either see it, and they don't even go all the way down the page. If you don't capture them up here, or at least by here, they're gone. They're not even seeing what's down below.
You're reading as a CRO, or you've always done that?
That's me as a shopper. And even when I write copy, I have to, you'll take a look at my blog post. You'll see I'm detailed down to, and that's kind of what makes my copy so good on my articles, is because they're extraordinarily well detailed. That doesn't work for marketing copy. And it runs counter to my nature to write really brief, concise copy. But ultimately, marketing 101 is people don't read. So you want to, even if they read the fine print because you've provided them a link to it, or they can open up an accordion and see it, or however else you want to feed the detail person, you do need to accommodate the skimmer. And that's really a big deal. I mean, I tell people that on product pages, the more detailed, the better. That's great for your SEO and it's great for your conversions. But if you don't design the page for the skimmers, they're just going to see big blocks of text and they're going to roll their eyes and they're going to go, oh my God, I don't want to read this. And so, and quite honestly, sometimes that conciseness keeps people from overthinking their choice. That's the other end of it, is you really want conciseness. And the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm also super busy and I'm still arguing over what's in scope with my head of engineering, when you're doing your questionnaire, you've done a pretty good job of gender segmenting, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. You're not asking them any political questions, but you may want to make some of that conditional. Like if it's an infant, I don't likely need rain boots. And we talked about the waist size. As they're older, I may, there's just a lot of questions in there that I think may make that go faster if they've based on their answers.
Some of these questions are conditional.
Oh, okay.
For example, clothing items are different based on age. There's a cutoff, like for baby or after that.
Okay.
The shoes one I just added, and we haven't done anything there yet. So definitely a part of that. And there's a difference between whether it's a boy or a girl, and if you don't tell us, we choose girl clothing.
Interesting. You may want to have it. I don't know if it's an issue in Europe, but you may want to have some gender neutral packages, at least in the smaller sizes, because a lot of people, if they purchase pre-birth, they're buying neutral items.
We can definitely do that, and we have done that as well many times. You just don't tell us whether it's a boy or girl.
Okay, yeah, and well, but I mean, if I even may want to pick gender neutral, the other advantage to that, and this sounds funny, but you know, we lived most of our lives in California, and when I bought the girls their first ski outfits, and mind you, that was once or twice a year they were worn, I was buying really pretty pink things, and then I had a son and realized that if I bought them in black, they went through all 3 children. You know, so some things may really you know, may merit, you know, you have 5 children. I'm sure that I remember my husband saying my son ain't wearing a pink sleeper, and I'm thinking a 6-month-old doesn't know the difference, but dad does. So anyway, you get kind of where some parents may prefer neutral for a multitude of reasons.
This is also one of the reasons why we mostly cater to 0 to 8 instead of going up. We can go up, but at that point we need to make mom and the kids happy. Whereas when it's below that age, it's mostly mom that we need to make happy.
And you may want to say that you're pretty much up to a maximum size range so that I don't bother if I have a 12-year-old.
No, I think we have, but that may have been missing in a few edits.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that you know, going back to some of the things I love about your site, I noticed too, people were commenting about how narrow it is. The good thing about that is you have a really great eye path, meaning the eyes don't have to wander all over the place. It's just, you know, straight up and down. That's one of the good things about your site. I would just focus more on making your content more snackable. Pay attention to that. The reason the F pattern is so powerful is people can see the end coming, right? Whereas like if they see a block of text, like, oh God, it looks like a bunch of, I got to read a book now, right? So headline, subheadline, sentence, bullet points, F pattern, you know, just pay attention to that and try to model that structure with your content on your site. And then also going back to the story brand framework, it's important to remember, you know, that every good story has a guide. There's a hero and the guide. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Yoda, Luke Skywalker. You know, it's always like that over and over. And since everybody's trained for that, what I really think would be a good thing for you to consider is, you know, talking about how your company is like having your own personal stylist, right? And the stylist is going to help you dress your kids in a way, in a beautiful way that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do, right? You're not trying to be the hero, but you're the guide, and maybe personify this stylist, right? That's, you know, tell your stylist this, and, you know, just simply tell your stylist that. Okay, now let's train your stylist, you know, and the stylist is the guide. The stylist is Yoda. The stylist is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's, you know, and they're the hero, and you're helping them achieve a goal of time savings and just gorgeous, beautiful, stunning textiles. You know, their kid's gonna, you know, look like they walked off a runway, like that kind of stuff, right? Get them to imagine, you know, what working with your stylist is going to be like, right? How much better their life is going to be, both in time savings and in how debonair their kids are going to look.
And just following on from that point, because I 100% agree with it. I mentioned, you know, at the start, I'm always really interested in the psychology of these things. And if you're thinking about how someone starts, what's their emotional state when they start the journey of coming onto your site? Well, presumably they've probably clicked one of your ads, so they're thinking there might be something that can benefit their emotional state. If their emotional state is stressed, tired, busy, and so on and so forth, this hero character is the character that saves them from that emotional state, and the desire from that person is to no longer feel that emotion. That's so much what what sales really comes down to. You're feeling something, we can solve that feeling. You don't have to be feeling that uncomfortableness that you're currently feeling anymore. And so thinking about it from that point of view, and I think as Robert says, the stylist could really be the hero of that journey. So have to think about it from the point of view. And someone earlier was talking about interview. I think it might have been AJ talking about interviewing your current customers. How did they feel at the start of the journey? How did they feel at the end of the journey? Maybe some of this comes out in the testimonials, which I have to say I loved as well. That was actually my favorite bit of the site, was the testimonials. They're absolutely fantastic. But how did this make them feel? What was the change in feelings? Because that's what you're really selling. You're selling a change in emotional state.
Yeah, and what I would like to add too, I recently switched to having my groceries purchased for me, and I'll never go back. I'll never go back. Here's the thing: it's like it costs $10. $10. It saves me an hour, right? Plus, I don't have to deal with the whole COVID thing. But most importantly,
how does that work exactly?
even though it costs me $10, my grocery bill's down by $50 to $100 a week. Why? I don't buy a bunch of junk. I'm shopping as a utilitarian manner. So you're in the right business. I think this is a trend. This is not a fad. This is a trend, and you're tapping into that trend, and you're in a really good position.
Yeah, Robert. Sorry, Mark, to interrupt. I was just curious about how that works. So they just choose, which veggies, fruit, meat.
Yeah, we use. Yeah, exactly. Here's the best part. Because every time I've shopped in person in the past, it has all my orders. So I just I'll go to my most expensive orders. I spent $300 this day. And I'll just go through and be like, that takes me 10, 15 minutes. And I've got everything I need. And then here's one of my favorite things Phil's a cook too. And I'll be cooking. I'm I'm out of garlic powder, right? Oh, I just add that to my cart. And then I don't, because the way it worked before is I'd go shopping. Oh crap! I gotta go back to the store. So there's a lot of advantages to it, but we use Amazon, Whole Foods through Amazon. We use Ralph's and we use Costco. We do all three.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's just online deliveries, and it records your previous order, and then you can just go back and reorder whatever you want.
Exactly.
That's basically the
say. Because I generally buy the same things every week, and I mix it up a little bit, but I can just add the entire cart and just be done.
Right. I actually do the same thing with IGA, sorry. For example, I mean, they have an online site where, an online groceries website where I can see my previous order and just reorder everything or check what I want to keep. The other groceries don't offer that, but it is saving me a lot of time, indeed.
And I switched as well, and I find exactly the same benefit as Robert. The biggest benefit to me is if I realize I need some chili powder, over the next week, I put it in my basket right then and there, and I never forget stuff anymore. And my grocery bills have probably halved since I've gone online shopping.
I know, and you're going to be a little healthier too, because you don't buy those cookies, and you never go.
I still do buy those, but hey.
Yeah, you don't get tempted to add those to your cart now. I do.
Yeah.
But you still have
to say finally, and as Robert said, earlier, massively, well done for producing something. Any business. I know, I said in my early start, I built a business from nothing, and it's hard. and you've got to come up with the idea. You've got to build all the stuff. You've got to, get the structure right. You've got to get the processes right. There's so much to it. And from the outside, it looks like it's just a website, but because that's what customers see. But from the inside, there's so much that goes into to growing any business. So just incredibly well done for getting to where you have got to.
You did the branding yourself, Mark?
Well, I had a designer make some of the stuff, but it was after our ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, really well done. That's the step I think a lot of people miss, is the branding. They kind of plow forward and then go, once they're more successful, they backtrack and have to rebrand, and it's really a pain in the butt.
We intentionally didn't want to look like anything else there. And we also, for example, our welcome emails, there's like 10 different variants based on the time, based on whether you're a customer before or not. And in one of the emails, I'm dancing on the table and stuff like that. So we try to put a lot of personality in it. Because I think, and that's generally, you can always, our customers can always talk to us directly, and we try to we try to help them if we can in any way.
I imagine like just this concept of like kids on the runway, and this is like you're having the, how do you pronounce it? Is Smoccasin?
Yeah, Smoccasin.
Having a runway show, right? And it's all kids walking down with all the clothes that you guys got them, like as like a YouTube video or advertisement, and the parents kind of just imagining their kids being these like style mavens, I don't know. I love that kind of idea. And some of the clothes I saw on your site were just like gorgeous, right? I would love to have those for my kid. In fact, I'm going to tell my wife about this. I was, initially resistant to do for years for the grocery delivery, even before COVID. I'm like, no, I like doing it. It's like, that's gone. It's gone. Like that whole idea is gone. And I imagine that people will feel the same way about clothing shopping. I mean, how can you go wrong, by having something hand selected for you based on, I loved your interview process too, like all the cool icons. And I thought that all worked really well. It was just a little kind of rough going at the beginning. And I only went through it because I was highly motivated, but a stranger won't be as motivated. So you got to get that first part right, because if you do the first part right, you will engage the cognitive bias, the sunk cost fallacy. They'll start investing time, and then they have to finish to see what the end result is, right?
That is basically why we added those 2 questions before the email address, because exactly what you just said. If we just start with the email address, then that's like, oh, what? But if we add two questions, you've already done some of the work, and yeah, okay, everybody.
You're still there. I was making you the start of the show.
So you've already done a bit of the work, so you're more inclined to also just give us the email address and then move on in the process. I'm not sure if it actually works. That may also depend a lot on the actual questions that we asked in the beginning. So that's something to test as well.
Can I just ask a quick question about your testing? So what is it that you're doing in terms of split testing, and what systems are you using?
I use Google Optimize, and mostly because I mostly test big things, like a whole new landing page versus the old one, which is what I'm going to do after this as well, because we don't have the traffic to test small things, and a lot of them.
Sorry.
Yeah, and so I've talked actually in Robert's group about split testing and the amount of conversions that I think you really need to be clear about a test result. There's a thing called an AA test. So everyone's heard of an AB test, but people haven't heard of an AA test. So an AA test is where you test the thing against itself. And that sounds like a crazy thing to do, but in fact, it's actually really useful. It gives you an idea of the amount of traffic that you need before you can be clear that you have a result. So I did an AA test on my website on both versions had 4,500 conversions. So not views, actual conversions. So imagine going from one page, clicking on a button and going to the next, the conversion. And it, when we did this AA test, there was a confident prediction that the test B, which was the same as test A, won by 3%. So even after 4,500 conversions.
That's
so
hilarious.
yeah, and people are really surprised by that. The difficulty is that what tends to happen is that random chance really gets very involved in split testing. All you need is one person. It depends on the complexity of the chain really afterwards, but one person can say, oh, I'm not going to go, I'm going to go this other way and go all the way around the houses here, and can quite significantly affect, the results. If you were only testing, say 10 or 20 or 30 conversions, for example, and I don't know what numbers you are testing in terms of conversions, you need to know that the differences between the two conversion percentages is quite high. So if you've got one that's running at 70% and one that's running at 20%, yeah, you can probably get an answer after 20 or 30 conversions. But normally, it'll be a difference of, say, 10 or 20%, and you need to let those run for quite some time before you call it. Because the amount of tests I've seen that have, I could have called it early, and I left it, and the result actually ended up being the other way round. It's just something you need to be really aware of when you're doing split testing.
I tend to also, in Google Optimize, you can have 3 different goals at the same time. I tend to basically have the actual conversion as the last goal, because we don't get as many, so it would take too long. But for example, when I try a new landing page, then my initial goal is from them to actually exit the landing page and start the questionnaire.
Yeah.
I take that as the bigger goal, and there I get a lot more conversions.
Well, side note, you got a big problem. It appears you have a canonical problem. Sean Altman pointed out that the www is not redirecting. It's not redirecting for me either.
No, I checked that out. Yeah, I saw the pop-up on the window. It should be a simple fix in the DNS.
Yeah.
I'll do. But,
yeah.
Thanks, Sean. That's the stupid thing about testing your own stuff, because you don't test the stuff that you know that works, and that just breaks sometimes, and then it doesn't work, and you never figure that out. I think that's the biggest thing about your own stuff, is you know how stuff works, you know how to do stuff, and therefore everything you do comes natural, and it feels good, and everything is great. And that's why panels like this is awesome. Yes.
Yeah, I'm blown away by, Matt. First of all, two things, one major and one minor. Matt is the man. He's just like, this guy has entered my life. No, seriously, he's entered my life, and he's just added so much value to it. And I'm really happy that he's putting these things together, and we're all lucky enough to just sit here, and enjoy the fruits of his labor. And thank you, Matt, for doing that. And number, just in a more minor aspect, I am just in awe of Phil's lighting and camera. I know he's using a LR camera. My God, like, it is just gorgeous. Like,
Perfect.
But the
Best model maybe, but hey, I'm the best I've got.
Yeah,
I just got some lighting equipment myself, and your lighting is way better than mine.
you look great, Matt. You look great. It's his camera. Your lighting is perfect. Like, it's balanced, and it's great. I would say maybe a slight bit on the cold side. I'm not sure. Like, compared to Phil's, is very warm. But just going back to the panel today, what I really loved was it AJ. Like, she started off right off the bat, and she's like, "Tell me about your customers." And that, for me, like, is the best opening question for any journey, any conversion journey. is, talking about your customers first. So I really appreciated that. And just, what everybody's like, the value that everybody brought was just like, that's why I kind of wait. Like, I'm going to wait and see if I have anything to add after.
You've done this twice in a row. I knew it was coming. I was waiting for you to kind of jump in and bam, 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 bam. Here's all the observation.
I want to fill in the blanks, right? I want to talk about what other people, and there's so much to talk about. We could probably go on. We could really dive deep into, your interview style interview or whatever what you called it. But for me, get the homepage down first, and that will, kind of act as that'll give you some cues that you might need to optimize the rest of the site. But yeah, so I have to run.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up. Let me just ask you, Mark, before we do, was this helpful at all?
Nah.
I knew it. This was a waste of time.
It's that fun response that you can see in your site. You're having fun, right? And I think that's the best thing about your site.
This is. I've been in IT for 20 years, and doing something for ourselves is what really drives me. This is a lot of fun. I'm also working together with my wife every day. It's awesome. My kids are helping everywhere. The older ones, at least. The younger ones are making more mess.
Yeah.
So no, but the whole this format, all of your times, it's very much appreciated. And I wanted to ask Matt to put the video on right away, because I did not make any notes, because I'm relying on
appear on the group. Facebook will convert automatically to your recording. And then if you want me to send you the actual file, I can do that as well.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
I think it's smart that you didn't make any notes. You're just focused and in the moment. You can go back and make notes later. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly.
And thank you, Mark, for being, open to, the comments and things. As I said, you've done an amazing job getting the business to where it is, but, you've had a smile on your face throughout the entire session.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And thank you, Matt, for putting it together.
And big props to you, Phil. Thanks.
What you do wrong.
I'm so glad Phil joined. He's become, a big comrade for me. I bounce ideas off of him, and he's turned me on to so many cool things. He's pretty much my favorite person right now, at least on Facebook. You and Matt, you guys. Yeah, you too.
Very much like Mark. I've got 2 thumbs down. Wow.
Phil's been around
an hour and a half.
You're the new guy, Matt, right? You gotta earn your keep here. But Phil has been, adding value to my group for well over a year now. And I took notice of him a long time ago. I'm like, who the hell is this guy that's always like and then he became my Facebook friend, and then just on his personal feed, he's wildly popular. He makes the best posts. I'm like, he made me take notice. I need to, and I reached out to him, before I even met you, Matt. And I'm like, I just want to talk to you. You seem like someone, I'd like to get to know better. So I'm just so glad he's, a part of this. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and from my point of view, thanks to both of you for the groups that you guys have put together. And I've run a group before, and I know how much effort it is. It's a lot of effort. Thinking about things to be posting all of the time. It's huge. The amount that goes into running a group, and the community in general gets so much back from the various groups. So yeah, thank you to both of you too.
Awesome, guys. Let's wrap this up. I want to respect the time. It's been 43 minutes, and I really appreciate that. And everything all the value that you've provided, but also the other panelists that were here earlier. I'm going to thank them personally as well. So let's do this again, just once a month. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.